Grim-looking men bearing spears, swords girded at their sides, their eyes scanning the bluebells that blanketed the forest floor. But they never looked up, not even once. My brother, the ever-smiling Harding, had taught me that trick. Men rarely look up when they're hunting. As a boy, I had followed him around loyally, the way a dog follows its master. When he and my father had gone off to fight for the king, Harding had promised to win me an estate. Now his body was feeding the worms down in East Anglia, and I never did get that estate. Just the opposite. I lost the one my father had held. But I still remembered what Harding had taught me. The leaves weren't as thick on the tree now as they would be in a few weeks, but it was old, with thick branches and plenty of twigs. As long as I kept my eyes hidden, I felt safe. That was another thing Harding taught me. If you hide the gleam of your eyes, you hide yourself. The branch I was on was so wide that no one would be able to see my body from below. So the moment I spotted the search party approaching, I calmly rolled over and stared up into the oak leaves above me. I should have stopped at the bread. Even a Danish nobleman as tenacious as my pursed-lipped pursuer down there wouldn't have bothered chasing down a bread thief. But this was the second day in a row that he and his men had been searching for me. Oh, but the girl had been so pretty with her blonde braids, her wide, inviting mouth, and those curves beneath her dress, which he'd so willingly let me fondle. Yes, willingly. I've never had to take a woman by force, and this girl had certainly been no exception. I had made it out unhindered through the palisade that enclosed the estate. The manor was large and prosperous, making it very clear that one of the Danish victors lived here. Someone who didn't fear his neighbors and who could afford to let anyone enter. Tradesmen, wandering craftsmen, pilgrims, landless men in search of a place they could call their own, or even just a roof over their heads in exchange for some back-breaking toil for the lord of the manor. There were warriors in the courtyard. Of course. This nobleman was confident, not stupid. The warriors were watching me, and I had made it halfway to the hall when 3 of them approached me. I asked if there was any work to be had, and got the same answer as everywhere else, a shake of the head. The victors were eager enough to expand their farmlands, but they had no use for a single man. A man who showed up accompanied by a woman with a baby at her breast and several kids clinging to her skirts would receive a stick hut in exchange for the privilege of slaving away for the new master. A man with a family can be controlled, but no one has leverage over a single man. One of the warriors, brawny, with a bare chest and ash-blonde braids down to his belt, pointed silently back toward the gate. I turned around and took a few steps, then paused and went back. This time, I repeated my question in their language, instead of in English. They stared at each other. Then they grabbed me, turned me back around so that I was facing the gate again, and shoved me on my way. Idiots! Surely they could hear from my perfect Danish accent that I was not an Englishman. It's not like I'd painstakingly learned the language of the victors just to please them. My mother was Danish, so Danish was literally my mother tongue, and my father was Saxon, so I spoke both languages fluently. I reached the gate just as an ox cart was rolling in. One glance over my shoulder told me that the warriors had already turned their attention elsewhere, so I ducked behind the cart and walked behind it, bending over.